the fast lifestyle and all the fast foods and modern trends like that. So we are missing all these traditions. So here comes the role of food processing. How we can bring back these traditional things using these modern technologies as well as modern techniques. We can bring back these traditions. We can bring back our nutritional requirements, all this. So what is this food processing? Food processing is like any change, any deliberate change in an agricultural commodity that you make before you consume it, so as to make that raw material in a more useful form or a more stable form, more palatable or more digestive form for the human consumption. That is known as food processing. In our day-to-day life, if you see, from morning when we get up from our bed, that time onwards we are starting the intake of our processed foods. You see, coffee or tea, it is the processed form of these beverages, coffee and tea. And then from there we start with our breakfast items. You take any item, it is one way or the other, it is processed. And in our home itself we are doing this processing. So why we have to go for this processing? You know, India is the country with the number one or number two position in most of the production of agricultural commodities, whether it is fruit or vegetable or grains, anything. We are number one or number two. But the problem is that whatever we are producing, whether it is reaching to our consumers, no. Why? Because of the lack of these processing facilities as well as the inadequate infrastructure which we are having. From production till it reaches to the consumer, there is lot of wastages happening in all these commodities. So in order to avoid this post-harvest losses, we can go for this processing. The processing will help to convert these different types of raw materials into value-added products, which can be stable or shelf stable. We can store it for more days compared to the raw material, the actual raw material. For example, fruits and vegetables. You cannot store it more than 2 days or 3 days under ambient conditions. In refrigerated conditions, maybe hardly you can go for 1 week. More than that, we cannot. That spoilage will occur. So what we can do? Convert this fruit or vegetable into processed form. Maybe fruit juices, or any beverages, jam, jellies, or any wines, and dehydrated vegetables or dehydrated powders. Like that, if you convert it, the shelf life of that product is more, and also the pathogens, foodborne pathogens, as well as the microbes and toxins, we can avoid this one. And also we can improve the sensory characteristics of certain items. Certain items we cannot eat. After processing only we can eat. So like that, one way or the other, the processing we are doing at our home level or at the industrial level. If you see our this evolution of food processing, it started from 1.5 million years ago, there where the diet was primarily on the unprocessed foods, whatever available from our neighborhood or the nearby forest, that plant foods we were directly taking and consuming. That was in the ancient days. Then 7 lakh years ago, there we added the meat and then slowly started cooking, drying, smoking, salting. These are the ancient techniques of processing which we used. Then nearly 10,000 years ago, with this agricultural revolution, more grains came and more dairy, milk and milk products came into existence. And in the 19th century, with the invention of this canning and pasteurization of milk, like that, new processing techniques we have invented. With that, we could able to move to more further shelf stable products. And in the 20th and 21st century, various operations like ultra high pasteurization, dehydration, freezing, refrigeration, vacuum packing, and adding different preservatives as well as chemicals to extend the shelf life or to make it more reliable. And this processing we started home scale also, and commercial scale also we started. And now actually we are if we see the processing at the home level and the industrial level, you see any fruit or vegetable you are purchasing from the supermarket or any fruit shop, what we are doing initially, we are washing it, then peeling it or cutting it. This is one stage of processing only, that is known as the primary processing, that initial things. And you are doing the pickling process. With many items you are doing mango, lemon and all pickling, that is another process. And you are keeping your vegetables and fruits in the fridge, that is you are going for the freezing or cooling, that is another processing operation. So like that, this extent and the use of machineries vary when you go from home to the industry level. there also we are going, maybe cleaning, peeling at the industrial level with machineries you may be doing. Here at home level, we are doing it by hand. And then similarly, other industrial level operations like irradiations or extrusion, modified controlled atmosphere storages, like that, lot of processing techniques are there. Now, why we need to go for these processing techniques? While traditional food processing will continue to play a major role in providing food for the people, it is expected that actually people are having two opinions. Some people will say that these processed foods are not good for health, and some people will tell that processed foods are good. But we have to see in both the angles. Actually, due to processing, especially the thermal processing, of course, there are some loss of nutrients. But on the other way, due to this processing, we can enhance the nutrition also by fortification, or different techniques are there, encapsulation techniques, fortification techniques, by which you can enhance the nutrition also. And you can have even rice, fortified rice with more iron content, like that. Different options are available to combat with the malnutrition prevailing in our country due to this processing. And today's consumers, if you see, consumers always, they wanted to have affordable, safe, convenient, and fresh food. They were also there in their mind, that perception is there always, that fresh and whole things are good for health. It's good, but always we may not be getting that whole fruit or fresh fruit or whole grains always. So we have to, with the changing lifestyle and more urbanization and the fast lifestyle which we are following, we also need to move forward to this processed food. And also nowadays, in government also taking steps to prevent this high fat, high salt, high sugar foods. So various people are coming out with alternative salts. That is actually you will get the perception of the salt, but it is not actual salt. So that type of research is also coming up. So our consumers now, they are more demanding for not only nutritious products, like at the same time nowadays they are going for some disease preventing or some protective foods which will help you to prevent some diseases. Or nowadays you'd see, because of these pandemic conditions, people are all going for immune boosting foods. Okay, you see everywhere, you can see most of the products, it is coming out with these labels like immune boosting components are added, so you can take this. It is true to some extent, but there, as per FSSA guidelines also, so many restrictions are there when you claim that immune boosting food. So that is another question. So anyway, that today's consumers are like, they are more concentrated on their health, they are more concentrated on their diet, and they wanted to have their personalized nutrient snacks or whatever diet, they wanted to have it only for them. So here comes the role of food processing mainly. You might be aware of this 3D food printing. 3D printing we are using for all other fields, like even building construction and all, you are using 3D printing. Now this 3D printing is coming to the food also. So based upon the individual's nutritional requirement, we can have this paint or the material which we will be using for printing. Depending upon individuals nutritional requirements, we can have this one. And if a kid wanted to have his nutrient rich food in the form of his famous cartoon character, maybe Shinjan or Superman, you can have that one in this 3D printing food. Okay, like that. Nowadays consumers are also more conscious about their food. They are not eating the food only for satisfying their hunger. Now they are eating for their mind also. So how the food is prepared and ethically it is prepared, all those things matters to the modern consumers. And you can see here one edible water bottle. So just you can put it into the mouth, that with the packet it will go inside your mouth. And like that, DNA based diet, individuals DNA will change depending upon that what is your particular requirement. We can find out now with the advancement in the food processing, and you can go for that particular type of customized nutrition also. And then another important thing is functional foods and nutraceuticals. This is having more importance in this era, because with the changing lifestyle, more people are going towards this fast food, and without any exercise, all are busy. So we are getting lot of problems also. So to always what we are doing is supplements. For vitamin supplements are there, for different mineral supplements are there. Instead of that, they can go for this functional foods or nutraceutical, which is an emerging field in the food processing industry, which is having huge scope also. You can have your required nutrients which will do that particular function in your food itself rather than going for the medicine. That is the concept behind this functional foods and medicine. Now I will be just briefly taking you to some of the functional foods or innovative foods which we developed at our institute, and then also some facilities which we can I wanted to familiarize with you people, being a women association, this one, many of your women groups who may be interested to start some food processing businesses or something, they can make use of these facilities also. So one is an ice cream. You know, this ice creams mainly we will prepare with milk. So the problem with this milk is 65% of the human population is having some lactose intolerant problem. They're unable to digest that lactose in the milk. So those people, they cannot eat this dairy ice cream. So as an alternative to this dairy ice cream, what we introduced is, instead of dairy milk, we can go for coconut milk, or even we can go for the millet milk also. You know, coconut is the wonder nut. We call it as the wonder nut because it contains lot of health beneficial components, including many minerals and vitamins. And also the more important thing is lauric acid, which is actually a component present in the breast milk of mothers, which will give that immunity power to the kids. So that lauric acid is present very well in this coconut also. So this is added advantage for this coconut ice cream. So if you see, calories also, carbohydrate is there, apart from that protein is there, apart from that mainly these minerals and vitamin content that is there in the coconut milk ice cream. And another alternative is, instead of dairy milk, go for the millet milk. Millet, you know, it is emerging as the superfoods now. Our ancestors were using various types of millets, but if you directly give this millet porridge or millet rice to our kids, they may not be liking to take it. But if you give them ice cream, like, they will love to have it. Not only kids, all age group people, they will love to have this ice cream. So the advantage of this millet milk ice cream is that it is a rich source of various minerals like ragi, finger millet. If you see, it is very good source of calcium, iron, as well as fiber and protein. So apart from you are getting the normal ice cream taste, you are getting all these health benefits also. And in all these things, we added another component, that is the essential amino acid, which is very, very needed for our healthy life. That is omega-3 fatty acids. We incorporated from a plant source itself, that omega-3 acid was also incorporated into this ice cream. So this ice cream we introduced in many places. Even people couldn't distinguish between this dairy ice cream as well as this millet milk or coconut ice cream. So this is a healthy product which we can promote. Apart from that, our normal biscuits or cookies, which is made up of maida, you know the disadvantages of this maida. So instead of maida, we can replace that maida with this healthy millet flour. So you can see from the nutritional fact, it is fiber is very high, 14% fiber, and double the percentage of protein, apart from the minerals and as well as other vitamins present in this. And we have compared it with other existing cookies also. You can see the benefits here. And here also we can add that omega-3 fatty acid from the plant source, which will give an added advantage or added nutritional benefits to our kids. And then I have mentioned already idli, how nutritious it is, what a nice combination of carbohydrate and protein. So here also we can go for some improvement. After replacing that rice with this millet flour, either with ragi or tinai or finger millet, or different types of millets are available. So we can replace that rice with this millets. Then in millet also, carbohydrate is there to some extent. Apart from that, you can see the advantages, like 44% more protein than the rice idlis, and 89% more calcium than the whole wheat idlis. Like that, each and every component, how it is getting better in the usage of this millet flours. You can see this we can try at our home level also. Now Mother's Kitchen, we are promoting through this Shakti group. Actually IFPT is also taking part. Such type of these dishes we can promote in our life also. And another product which I wanted to introduce, that is the using the waste products for making nutritious items. Like, you know, jackfruit. Maybe Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala, this jackfruit is very common, even in some northern state also. But the problem with the jackfruit, we are not spending much money for the cultivation of this jackfruit. If you see the edible portion of jackfruit, we are taking only 30% of the portion as edible. Remaining 70% we are wasting. Like we are thinking that it is the waste. Rind, core, strand, all these consist of that 70%. But what we found that this for the unripened jackfruit, this thing we can convert very well into various flours, and we can use it for the production of fiber rich as well as protein rich bakery items, confectionery items, even noodles, pasta sort of things. Even we can prepare chapatis from this flour. We can have the ice cream cones made up instead of maida. We can use this flour for making the ice cream cone. Even snacks plates we can prepare out of this, which is edible also. After finishing the snack, you can eat the plate also. So that type of nutritious foods are available around us, but we are not aware of these things. This chapati, if you see, it is very good for the diabetic persons having low GI value, low glycemic index value. Rather than going for the wheat chapati, we can even take this also, which is having even low GI than the wheat also. And these are like some of the innovative products which we feel that it is nutritious also, which we can promote in our women group also. That only I just explained. There are a lot of other products also. Our time is also very limited, so just I will introduce what are the facilities we are having at our institute for, especially for the startup entrepreneurs and all. This, we are having a food processing business incubation center at our institute with all the processing lines, like all food processing aspects we are covering there: grain processing, fruits and vegetable processing, spice, then complete extrusion line with the hot as well as cold extrusion. Bakery unit is there, ripening chambers are there, cold rooms are there. Apart from that, pilot processing plants for virgin coconut oil, ice cream processing, fruit beverage processing, like carbonated beverages as well as non-carbonated beverages. If you see this carbonated beverage is another very good option, which I wanted to mention. Like you see our young generation, they are behind this Coke, Pepsi and all, no? Instead of that one, if we promote our own fruit beverage, like guava juice or amla juice, if we can carbonate it and this will give the same refreshing feeling what they are getting from the Coke or Pepsi. So we can promote such type of products which is nutritious also, rather than going for these artificial flavors and artificial fruit juices or that type of products. And then what the services we are offering through our incubation center is like various types of skill development trainings we are giving to the all people without any age bar or educational bar. We are giving this training to everyone, and those who are already into some business, they wanted to upgrade their skill, means we are giving that skill upgradation training also, and consultancy services also we are giving. And also one more attractive service which we are providing is the incubation services. Like somebody wanted to start something, but they don't have that initial investment capacity. So what we are helping them is, we are taking them as our incubators. We are providing them the space as well as all the facilities we are giving them. They can come with their raw material, use our machineries, process their product, pack it, and then test market. So once they become like confident, okay, this I can do and I can sustain in this, then they can invest into that machinery part or plant part, and till they become self-sufficient, we are supporting them. Like that, through our incubation center, 97 successful entrepreneurs are into food business now. They are running their own factories, and recently our honorable Prime Minister ji introduced under Atmanirbhar Bharat one scheme, that is PM scheme for formalization of micro food processing enterprises. So anybody in this group who is interested to start up something, they can make use of this scheme, which will give 35% credit linked subsidy also for the startups as well as the existing food processing micro processors to upgrade their things also. These facilities are there. You can visit this website. It is in our institute website itself. We are giving one link, PMFME scheme. There we are giving what are the guidelines, and apart from that, we are also adding one product each week, how the processing can be done and what are the steps to be taken, what is the packaging requirements, what are the FSSA guidelines. All these things we are adding to our website. Anybody can freely visit this website and download these things and get to know about these things. And these are the entrepreneurs which I mentioned earlier. And I just wanted to point out two successful ladies through our incubation center. The right side lady, Sukha Diet, she's Mrs. Rajeshwari Ravikumar. Actually, her ambition in life was to become an MBBS doctor, but she couldn't fulfill that one because 10th itself she has to stop her studies, and she got married, and then after that, after kids and all, then she was thinking, she was always worrying about this thing, and then she came to us. Somehow she came to know about our incubation, and she came to us. She told, I wanted to use my grandmother's knowledge in the millets to convert this millet into nutritious products, so that at least, even I couldn't help the people by doctor, no, I can help them through this, at least through giving them good food. Like that, she came, she took the training, and now she is making more than 100 different types of breakfast items, as well as mixes with the millet itself. And she got Rashtrapati Bhavan award also, Srishti Samman Puraskar also she got for her innovation. And recently, last year, for her this innovative work, one university has given her honorary doctorate also. So she came and she, my dream is fulfilled. Like that, another lady here, she is Sangeeta.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
We
it's
have
over. My
time.
presentation is over. I wanted to tell this lady's success because this is a ladies group. I don't know what is their background, and also if anybody wanted to use any of these facilities from our institute, you can make use of this thing, because the challenge in front of us is to feed the world of 9 billion in by 2050, which we cannot meet out through only improvement in the food production alone. So we have to go for this processing also, by which we can minimize the losses, then we can extend the shelf life, we can feed the entire world with the nutritious food, that so that the food safety as well as nutritional safety can be assured through food processing. Thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Very nice and informative talk on nutritional biochemistry. I suppose the very nice version of lactose intolerance. We have heard about millet milk and coconut milk ice creams. It would be a blessing for the kids who are lactose intolerant. And now, without going further, doing any delay, I would like to call our second speaker as she has to go somewhere, Dr. Sharika Yunus. Uh, I would like to introduce her. She is head nutrition and school feeding unit at World Food Program. Graduated in medicine from Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College, Aligarh in 2001. Is gold medalist in community medicine and subsequently did her post graduation in community medicine. Also worked for the ASHA project under the National Rural Health Mission with Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Now she is presently working as the head of the Nutrition and School Feeding Unit at the World Food Program Office in India. And without any further delay, I would like her to invite her for the talk. Ma'am, up to you. Sharika, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Iram. I'm trying to share my screen, so I think the host needs to allow me to share the screen.
Yes, Sharika ma'am, actually my two machines are working and I have to make you co-host. That is, I'm trying. Just give me.
Yes, ma'am.
Sharika ma'am.
Sure. So while Nivedita ji is working on making me a co-host, let me just explain a bit about the World Food Program for those of you who may not know. The World Food Program is the food aid arm of the United Nations. We are basically a humanitarian organization which has had presence in India since 1963. Our role in the initial part when we had presence in India was to deliver food, because in post independence, India did not perhaps have enough enough food available to be able to take care of the population.
Join करके देखो बोला क्या बोलता है वो.
Kindly mute your microphones. Other than this.
Sure. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce all of you to the World Food Program. And as I was saying, that the World Food Program is the food aid arm of the United Nations. We've had presence in India since 1963. And in the initial part of our presence, because India was not necessarily at that point in time post-independence a food secure country, the role of the World Food Program was limited to food aid and bringing in food into the country and distributing it through the different platforms and channels that the government had set up. However, post 2012, World Food Program has undergone a complete change in India. India is now a flourishing middle income country, a country which is completely food secure, which produces enough not only for its population, but also enough to export to the external world. In view of that, the World Food Program decided to change the way it operates in India, and we stopped all our food aid operations, and now our role is limited to providing technical assistance to national and state governments. And we provide technical assistance on ensuring how the different schemes of the government, especially the food-based safety net schemes of the government, how they become more efficient as well as nutritionally effective. With that background, I'll now go into the details of my presentation, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Shakti Group for giving WFP a chance to share some of its perspectives and thoughts on nutrition security in the country. So before we get into the details of nutrition security, I thought it would be good to understand what food and nutrition security actually means. Food security actually means when all people at all points in time have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious foods, which meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active, healthy life. So food is a human right, and nutrition is an integral part of food security. And therefore now the world has moved away from the concept of just ensuring food security to ensuring nutrition security. So it's no longer just about filling the tummy. It's now about filling the tummy with the right food in the right quantities so that it provides a nutritional benefit to the consumer. Now, when we talk about food and nutrition security in the Indian perspective, India is one of the few countries where we have a National Food Security Act in place, which makes access to food to 67% of our population a constitutional right. The National Food Security Act actually leverages on some of the food-based schemes of the Government of India. The food-based schemes on which it leverages are the Targeted Public Distribution System, the Midday Meal Program, or the program where school meals are provided to school-age children, and the Integrated Child Development Services Scheme. The National Food Security Act, as well as the three schemes on which it leverages, are some of the biggest schemes on food safety, on food security, which exist in the world. Now, with that background, we've understood what nutrition is about in the presentation from the previous speaker. We've understood a bit about nutrition security. Now let's understand what malnutrition is. And malnutrition, as the word says, actually means poor nutrition. And it actually covers a spectrum of conditions from undernutrition to overnutrition, as well as including micronutrient deficiencies. So by micronutrient deficiencies, we basically mean conditions where the intake of vitamins and minerals is less than desirable, and ultimately it leads to the deficiency becoming pronounced, and therefore certain health conditions developing in the individual. Overnutrition, we all know, as you can see from the picture, it's all about obesity and being overweight. Undernutrition in India and across the world actually is about 3 types of undernutrition. So it's stunting, and I'll explain in a bit what stunting is all about. It includes wasting, and it includes underweight. So coming firstly to stunting. Stunting basically means that the height of the child, and when we refer to these concepts of stunting, wasting, and underweight, we are basically limiting ourselves primarily to children less than 5 years of age. So when we say that a particular child is stunted, we basically mean that the child is shorter than he should be at that particular age. When we say that a child is underweight, that basically means that the weight of the child is less than desirable, or the weight of the child is lesser than what it should be at that particular age. When we say that child is wasted, we are basically taking the height and the weight of the child together into consideration. And the weight of the child is much less than what it should be at that particular height. Now, when we look at the prevalence of stunting, underweight, and wasting in the country, and the data that I have presented here is actually government data. The government of India conducts national family health surveys at a gap of about every 10 years. So if I look at the prevalence of stunting in the country, so between the last NFHS 3, which was conducted in 2005-06, and NFHS 4, which was conducted in 2015-16, we do see that the prevalence of stunting has actually come down by a good 10 percentage points. But the reduction in the prevalence of stunting is not good enough for India to be able to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. So though we may have reduced the prevalence of stunting, we need to reduce at a sharper rate in order to meet the World Health Assembly resolutions or some of the targets which have been set as a part of the Sustainable Development Goals. Also, if you compare the prevalence of stunting by the cutoff values which have been set by the World Health Organization, so as far as stunting is concerned, the prevalence of stunting in India as per WHO comes under the very, very, very high category. Now coming next to underweight, again, when we look at underweight, the prevalence of underweight in the country has come down, which is good. But the prevalence or the speed at which it has been coming down leaves a lot to be desired. We've only achieved about a 7 percentage point reduction between 10 years. So we are actually reducing at a rate of less than 1 percentage point per year. Here again, if we compare with the WHO standards, we fall into a category which is deemed as very high. Now looking at wasting, unfortunately, between the two family health surveys has actually gone up in India. Between 2005-06, when it was 19.8%, it's gone up marginally to 21%. So that's definitely not moving in the right direction. Also, again, when we compare with the WHO cutoff for public health significance, it comes into a category which is very high. So all the three values that we have which look at malnutrition in India or look at the prevalence of malnutrition in children in India, we are in a category which comes as very high, and therefore there's a lot that needs to be done to correct what is happening in the country at the moment. I talked about the prevalence of micronutrient deficiencies. Again, some data to show where India exactly stands as far as the prevalence of anemia is concerned. And as you can see, the prevalence of anemia in children as well as women in the reproductive age group is more than 50%, meaning that out of every 2 women, 1 woman is anemic. The men do not also seem to be doing better. About 1/5 or slightly more than 1/5 of our men are anemic as well. Again, if we compare the prevalence of anemia with the WHO cutoff, the WHO, the World Health Organization, says that any prevalence of anemia more than 40% is a severe public health problem. And therefore, you can see that as far as the prevalence of anemia in children and women are concerned, we do fall in the category of severe. We're doing slightly better as far as men are concerned, but anemia continues to be a moderate public health problem in men as well. Between the two NFHS, we've sort of clocked some amount of improvement, but again, the rate of improvement is slow and there's more that needs to be done. I just perhaps click and, sorry. So we talked about stunting, etc., and why is it really important? I mean, why should we as a nation, as intellectuals discussing the subject of nutrition, be really concerned about stunting? because stunted children are going to become less productive adults. They're going to be earning 20% less because they are stunted compared to adults who may have a normal height. So therefore, we are not only, by virtue of being stunted, we are not only impacting the adult earnings of the individual, but we are eventually impacting state development, state socio-economic development, at a certain level also national socio-economic development. And the effects of stunting in the short term are on impaired brain development. The child has a lower IQ, there's a weakened immune system, and therefore the child gets into a vicious cycle of malnutrition leading to disease, disease further leading to more malnutrition, and the child just continues to sort of move in that vicious cycle of malnutrition. Some of the long-term impacts include lost productivity and healthcare costs. We've talked about the greater risk of diabetes and cancer. There's a theory that goes around which is called the Bacchus theory, which basically means that when a child is malnourished in early childhood, then the chances of the child developing non-communicable diseases is higher in adulthood, and of course, eventually in premature death. Let's look at the impact of wasting. And wasted children are actually 11 times more likely to die than normal children. So that's also, I mean, wasting actually just leads to a very high level of mortality in young children less than 5 years of age. We talked about malnutrition and how it covers an entire spectrum ranging from undernutrition to overnutrition. And surprisingly, in a country like India, we are also beginning to enter into what we describe as the dual burden of malnutrition. So on one hand, we do have undernutrition, but on the other hand, we also have the dual problem of obesity and overweight. So if you look at women in India, then about 18.9% women are sort of overweight and obese, and then we have just as good a number of men also falling in the category of overweight and obesity. So there is a creeping problem of the dual burden of malnutrition as well, which is coming into the country. Like I said, the cost of malnutrition is not just on the individual, it's on the nation, it's on the state. Malnutrition costs about $3.5 trillion per year to the global economy. And you can then calculate how much it must cost to India. Undernutrition and micronutrient deficiencies cost up to $2.1 trillion per year. The cost of obesity and overweight related non-communicable diseases are estimated to cost $1.4 trillion in 2010. And child and maternal malnutrition is by far the largest nutrition-related health burden in the world. We've talked about the prevalence of malnutrition in India. We've talked about the impact of malnutrition. Let's now try to understand why at all does malnutrition happen. And this is the conceptual framework for malnutrition, which was proposed by UNICEF in the 1990s. It lays forth the fact that malnutrition is multifactorial in causation. So if you look at the very immediate causes of malnutrition, is largely because of inadequate food intake and because of diseases. Then there are a set of underlying factors, and the underlying factors include insufficient household food security, insufficient maternal and child care practices, insufficient health services and poor sanitation, inadequate education, poverty, employment, and then there are a more basic set of causes which include the social, economic, and the political context. And all of them come together to cause malnutrition. So like I said, it's multifactorial in causation. And if we want to reduce the prevalence of malnutrition in India and begin to meet some of the, I'm not sure what happened.
You're audible, ma'am.
Yeah, but I mean, I've gone back to my slide a bit. I'm not sure what the problem is with the slides.
That's no problem, ma'am.
Am I on the slide where I should be? Am I on the slide on the conceptual framework of malnutrition? Because
No, you are on the slide number 1.
yeah, so I don't know what happened. Can somebody just reflect the slide? Just 1 minute. Just give me a minute.
Ma'am, you tell me which number slide you want.
No, I got it back. Sorry.
It's
Apologies about this. So we were just talking about the conceptual framework for malnutrition, and I was just saying that malnutrition is multifactorial in causality, and therefore if we want to reduce the prevalence of malnutrition in the country, and actually our prevalence of malnutrition is in many cases worse than sub-Saharan Africa. So if we really want to reduce the prevalence of malnutrition in the country, we need to start acting on not just 1 or 2 issues, but on a plethora of issues, and we need to start acting on them simultaneously. I talked about how there are, when we look at the underlying causes, the 2 underlying causes are a gap in intake and, of course, frequent diseases. Now, the data that I have here talks about the gap in the intake of micronutrients, and this is data, again, government data from the National Nutrition Monitoring Bureau, which is the monitoring arm of the National Institute of Nutrition. And what you can see is that across age groups, if we look at the recommended dietary allowance, the recommended dietary allowance is actually what an individual, depending on his age and sex, should be consuming per day. But when we compare the dietary allowance with what is the actual intake, we see that there is a gap across the different micronutrients. And I'm just presenting data for the micronutrients. It's almost the same situation when we talk of macronutrients. So there's a huge gap in intake. And in some cases, the gap is as high as 50 to 70% lower than the recommended dietary allowance. Now, we've known the problem, we've seen the impact, we've seen why the problem is there. Now let's come to the solutions. So when we talk about the solutions to the malnutrition problem in the nutrition jargon space, it said that we need 2 sort of solutions to work, and both solutions to work together. One set of solutions are called the nutrition specific interventions. And then there is a set of solutions which are called the nutrition sensitive interventions. The nutrition specific interventions are solutions which act at the immediate causes of malnutrition, whereas the nutrition sensitive solutions are the solutions which act at the underlying causes of malnutrition. Now, some of the nutrition-specific interventions are adolescent health and preconception nutrition, maternal dietary supplementation, micronutrient supplementation or fortification. And I was really glad to know that Dr. Balachandran talked about fortified rice. Some of the other interventions include breastfeeding and complementary feeding, dietary supplementation for children, dietary diversification, disease prevention and management, nutrition interventions in emergencies, feeding behaviors, and stimulation. And you'd be glad to know that the government of India, as well as the state governments, have most of these interventions in place, though we may argue and bicker about the coverage of the interventions. But what we need to know is that even if these interventions are implemented at scale, it can only prevent 20% of stunting in children. Therefore, we need solutions for the remaining 80%. And that is where the nutrition sensitive approaches or the nutrition sensitive interventions come into consideration. The nutrition sensitive interventions in layman's language actually mean applying a nutrition lens to everything that is being done. So a nutrition lens to agriculture and food security, a nutrition lens to our social safety net programs, a nutrition lens to child development and maternal mental health, and so on and so forth. And it's only when we start applying a nutrition lens to each sector that we can hope to address malnutrition in the country. Now that brings me perhaps to some of my last slides. In India, it's not as if we have a dearth of public health schemes or a dearth of food-based safety net schemes. We also know very well on how to leverage some of these schemes. So we have the food-based safety nets, which is the fulcrum or the pivot of the National Food Security Act. And under that, we have the Targeted Public Distribution System, which involves distribution of household rations to the poor percentage of households in our population. And what is distributed includes basically wheat, rice, and off late coarse cereals or millets have also been added to the basket. We also have the midday meal scheme, which caters to children studying in government and government-aided schools between classes 1 to 8, and therefore covering the age group of 6 to 14 years. There are norms that the midday meal needs to meet in terms of calorie and protein of what is being fed to the children. And then we have the Integrated Child Development Services Scheme, which caters to children less than 6 years of age, pregnant lactating women, and it also has certain caloric and protein norms in place. So we do have the systems, we do have the platforms to be able to address malnutrition in India. What is needed is to leverage these better, to leverage all of these, keeping the nutrition perspective in mind. And therefore, we can look at achieving better nutritional security in our country and reducing the prevalence of malnutrition. With that, I'll end my presentation here. I unfortunately would need to leave right after this presentation. But if there are any questions that any of the participants may have, I'd be happy to take them up on email and provide detailed written responses to them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very nice and informative talk on various aspects of food and malnutrition. There are certain terms we have never heard of, such as stunting, wasting. These terms we are now familiar with, and the percentage of anemia in children and in women, in men also. So it was a very nice and informative talk, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming and delivering your talk. And we are enlightened by this talk of yours. Now, without any further delay, I would like to invite our third speaker is Mrs. Gayatri Ashokan. She will be talking on Indian perspective of nutrition. She is a nutritionist and lecturer from Kerala, South India, founder, owner of Nutri Solutions, which is a non-profit organization. Her aim is to enlighten people on healthy eating habits and thus a healthy society. She also gives free nutrition awareness class to schools and other groups and organizations. So without delaying any further, I would like to call her on the mic to speak and give us the talk. Ma'am Gayatri.
Hello, Gayatri here. This is not a non-profit organization. Actually, it is not so profit organization. So, yeah. So,
okay, sorry, ma'am.
Actually, I started it with a passion to create awareness on healthy eating, and gradually it developed into a global community having clients from different parts of the world. And I'm an author of this book, Diet and Meditation for Emotional Eating, and I'm doing more research on the emotions and the reason why we are gaining weight. It is not only in a physical aspect, but also in the metaphysical aspect. Since I'm a meditator in the last 22 years, I'm doing more research on the spiritual science as well as this food science, and how important is to have a healthy diet from an Indian perspective. And as we all know that Indian food culture is really good, and it is balanced diet, either in South India or in North India. Here we have kanji payar and all the vegetable, like in same as the thali meal, we have this Onam Sadhya, everything is balanced, but we need to understand the portion size. That is the only thing we, according to the type of work, or we are not doing so much activities as before. So we need to reduce the portion size of carbohydrate, but it is really a balanced diet. Could you please share that slide?
Ma'am, I already did.
Okay, is it there? I can't. How can I see that?
Ma'am, you have to share it.
you share your slide then.
At food plate?
Gayatri.
Plate?
When there's an option of share screen there, you have to share your screen.
Okay. I think I shared it in the through mail. I shared that food plate picture through mail. Okay, anyway, food plate, if we focus on a food plate, we'll get all the nutrients. Nutrients means there are different type of nutrients, macronutrients as well as micronutrients. But if we have a balanced diet, like in a food plate, if you take half of the plate vegetable and the other half divide it with carbohydrate and protein. Protein can be either dal or pulse for a vegetarian. In the case of non-vegetarian, they can have either fish or chicken, and we are promoting more of plant-based protein. And according to this Earth Ascension, we are focusing more on plant-based protein because it contains more of fiber. So it is good for maintaining the blood sugar, and so we are recommending more of plant-based protein. And we can have a serving of milk and milk products, could be in the form of curd or like buttermilk or anything like that. And this emotional eating disorder, which is mostly I'm observing here, and obesity is nothing but an emotional eating disorder. It could be due to the emotions. We are suppressing our emotions, or we just don't know how to express or how to understand what we are feeling inside, and we make everyone else comfortable, but inside what we are exactly feeling, that may cause in overweight or overeating. And from childhood onwards, there is a habit of giving more food to the kid than listening to their emotions. So in Kerala also, we are giving a lot of food to kids, and that is a way we show our love to the kids. But instead of that, we must understand what we are feeling in each moment. And mind health is also really important, same as the food. And stress is one of the major reason for all the problems which is affecting health. And that's why I'm recommending this meditation, because by observing our breath for a few minutes in a day, that will help us to reduce the stress level, and that will give a better health. And according to Gandhiji, today is Gandhi Jayanti, and I am remembering Gandhiji. He was a meditator and he was a spiritual leader. And according to Gandhiji, he promoted more of less cooking, raw food, easily sustainable food, and clean water. And his food habits include this lemon, honey, and wheatgrass, or more of green kind of food, and vegetarian kind of food he recommended. And as we focus on our Indian food culture, the health benefits of our Indian food, either in North India or in South India, it helps to reduce the inflammation. And inflammation is one of the major cause of diabetes, blood pressure, and heart diseases. So when we focus on a balanced diet with more of plant-based nutrients, including this pulses or vegetables, green leafy vegetable is a good source of minerals, and iron deficiency anemia is prevalent in India. So it is good to have 100 grams of green leafy vegetable for the kids, or in the case of adult also we need to include. In the case of kids, we usually recommend this food plate with 1 handful of carbohydrate, 1 handful of protein. Could be some dal or pulse or any kind of protein, or if it is some fish, we can have 100 gram square, like in the palm. You can take it, or you can take 1 handful or 1 katori, that is 100 gram, and 2 servings of vegetable or fruits. And Indian food have also the benefits of having a healthy mental state, as well as we are doing the cooking, which is in the boiling temperature. That will help to have adequate nutrients than frying or deep frying. And this curry leaves, tomato, onion, black pepper, garlic, turmeric, everything have its own benefits. But overdosage or over intake of this masala or any food which is poisonous, anything that is in excess is poisonous, including water. If you take more than 10 or 12 liters of water, that is not good for health. So everything have a limit. Water is a good nutrient. We need around, it is 35 ml per kg body weight, according to BDA, British Dietetic Association. And at least we need around 2.5 to 3 liters of water. And there are some medicinal value about of this Indian food. If it is cinnamon, that will help to reduce diabetes, or it have some diabetic friendly effects, and cloves, which is anti-inflammatory effect and antibacterial effect, and cumin, which is good for digestion and elevation of common cold. It reduces constipation since it contains fiber, and fenugreek is also good for reducing the blood sugar level. I was during my MSc, we had a study related to this fenugreek and diabetes. So that will help to reduce the blood sugar level. Cardamom, which is also good for the asthma patients, and it reduces the infection. And nutmeg, which is good to fight dementia. And these are the benefits of each and every spice or food in India, Indian food culture, which is have a medicinal value. And it's better to take it in limit, and each person is different, and our need is also different from childhood to adult. Even in the case of adult, according to our work pattern, sedentary job or moderate job, according to the job pattern and our energy output, the quantity and the portion size, everything vary. So this is all about the food, and we'll discuss more about it in the discussion. If you have any doubts, you can share the details here, so I'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very informative talk on the emotional health of a child. हम लोग generally we don't talk about it. We are more into giving food to our kids, and this is a very important point you put up. Also, you also talked about the traditional Indian medicines and food which are there, and this is a motive of a mother's kitchen also. So a very nice and informative talk. And before, thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to invite our fourth speaker, Dr. Ma'am Rekha Sharma. She is an associate professor in UGC HRDC in Rashsang Tukodji Mahasangh Nagpur University. And her topic of presentation is traditional probiotic food and health. And she, as I already told you, she is an associate professor in UGC HRDC Rashsang Tukodji Maharaj Nagpur University since 2004, and is actively engaged in research and training. She has a PhD in food and nutrition from the same university and published many research papers. So I would like to invite her for the talk without any further delay. Ma'am, please enlighten us from your talk.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please allow me to share my screen.
Yes, already allowed, ma'am. Already allowed.
Okay. Just a minute, I am sharing my screen. No, I'm not getting that sharing. You please give me again so that I'll be able to share my screen.
Rita, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not able to share my screen. Please give me the
UGC HR, na?
Yes, UGC HRDC, yes.
Yes, ma'am. I made you co-host.
But it's showing whiteboard. So I must be able
I'm
to.
withdrawing, but again I'm doing, huh?
Yes, please.
Ma'am,
Yes.
you please share the screen, not the white, huh?
Yes. Because I'm getting host disabled attendee screen sharing. Hello?
Rita ma'am?
Yes. Now I can do that. Okay. Okay.
Make it full screen.
Hello, can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So at the outset, I thank
Yes, visible.
yes, Shakti Group for giving me this opportunity to speak on traditional probiotic foods and health. I will be speaking on traditional probiotic foods. First, I will show, and then we will talk about gut microbiota, probiotics. Then I'll be showing health benefits of probiotics. And then to talk about probiotics, we need to know what are prebiotics, synbiotics, and postbiotics. So let us start with the probiotic foods. Probiotic foods means those foods which contain live microorganisms. I'll be explaining you in later slides. But first I'll be showing you traditional foods so that you will have an idea about what are these probiotic dairy foods. So all yogurt, fermented milk, cheese, they are a very good source of probiotic foods. Basically, these contain lactobacillus and bifidobacteria in it, and they are good source of probiotics. You may ask the difference between curd and yogurt. So there is a difference of the organism. Yogurt contains lactobacillus bulgaricus and streptococcus thermophilus, whereas in case of curds it contains all lactobacilli. Now the presence of milk protein and milk fat, they help these microorganisms to grow, and they can withstand the conditions of gastric juice in the stomach and the bile acids, and they can take these microorganisms towards colon where they ferment various carbohydrates and gives their benefits. Now you must have seen this Gopal Kala, which is prepared during Janmashtami, then Shrikhand, which is very common in well-known food of Maharashtra. These are probiotic foods because here the curd is mixed in the food, and इसमें सबसे ज़्यादा amount में live microorganisms रहते हैं. See, when we talk about probiotic foods, you may be thinking about fermented foods, but they do not include fermented food. In case of idlis, dosa, dhokla, live microorganism is not there because after fermentation we cook the food. So while cooking, these organisms, they get killed, whereas in these probiotic foods the organisms are live, and that's why we call it as probiotic foods. Now even various achars, pickles, they are also known as probiotic foods. They also contain some microorganisms. And then nowadays you will find that during this COVID, doctor, or they ask you to consume lactobacillus capsules and pills, so that after post-COVID you may not suffer from diarrhea. So these probiotics, they are also available in the capsule form, pills, paste, or tablets. Then sometimes people may have allergy due to lactose intolerance, or they may have problem of high cholesterol. So nowadays these probiotic foods, they can be consumed in the form of soyas and fruit juices, where these probiotics are added in these foods. So certain non-dairy foods, especially beverages that are non-fermented products, can also play an important role in probiotic delivery. So kanji, you must have heard about. It is a very good food of North India. Now here, इसमें जो है बीट रूट लिया जाता है, इसको ferment किया जाता है, and some amount of mustard is added to give a smell, to give a flavor. Then another is basi bhat. You must have heard. This is a very good probiotic food because this rice is cooked with excess amount of water, and then it is allowed to ferment overnight. And the next day, this fermented water it is consumed, it is a very good probiotic, because again all live microorganisms are there. Now after talking this, now I want to give you an idea about what are probiotics. And before we start with probiotics, let me tell you what is microbiota and then gut microbiota. So microbiota is the microbial associates that reside in and on the human body. It constitutes our microbiota. And the microbes in the body are so small that they make up only about 2 to 3% of the total weight of human. हमारे पूरे बॉडी का 2 to 3% माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म बनाता है. आप समझिए कि हमारे बॉडी में कितने माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स रहते हैं. इसके बाद में जो गट में रहते हैं, जो हमारे गैस्ट्रो इंटेस्टाइनल ट्रैक्ट में, डाइजेस्टिव ट्रैक्ट में जितने माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स रहते हैं, दे आर नोन एज गट फ्लोरा और गट माइक्रोबायोटा. देन यस, माइक्रोबायोटा शुरू से हमारे बॉडी में नहीं आता है. जब बच्चे का जन्म होता है तब उस समय उसकी बॉडी जो है वो स्टेराइल रहती है, और थ्रू मदर्स बॉडी ये जो है बच्चे को मिलता है. और इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन कि डिलीवरी कैसी है. यदि वजाइनल डिलीवरी होती है तो माँ के वजाइना में और फीकल में जो भी माइक्रोबायोटा रहेगा वो उसका माइक्रोबायोटा बनता है. जबकि यदि सी सेक्शन से होता है तो माँ की स्किन में और एनवायरनमेंट में जो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं, दे बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ माइक्रोबायोटा ऑफ इन्फेंट. देन अगेन देयर आर वेरियस कंडीशंस. जैसे ही माँ का दूध पीना बच्चे का खत्म होता है, एंड देन सॉलिड फूड्स आर इंट्रोड्यूस्ड टू द बेबी, उसका धीरे धीरे माइक्रोबायोटा एडल्ट जैसा बनने लगता है. एंड आफ्टर विनिंग द माइक्रोबायोम इज एनरिच्ड इन जीन्स involved in the degradation of polysaccharides. ये हो गया microbiota and gut biota, microbiota. Now I will be explaining you what are probiotics. Now, as I said earlier also, so probiotics they are live microbial feed supplement which beneficially affect the host animal by improving its intestinal balance. यदि लाइव माइक्रोऑर्गेनिज्म हमारे पेट में जाते हैं, विच आर नॉन पैथोजेंस, वो दे help us to improve our health. Now the most common genera that have been used and possess probiotic characteristics are lactic acid bacteria, और उसमें दो जीनस है, लैक्टोबैसिलस है और बाइफिडोबैक्टीरियम. ये दोनों सबसे ज्यादा हमारे, यानी दे आर कॉल्ड एज प्रोबायोटिक माइक्रोऑर्गेनिजम्स. इसमें से जो लैक्टोबैसिलस रहता है, इट इज अ फैकल्टेटिव एनारोबिक. इसका मतलब इट हैज एबिलिटी टू लिव इवन इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. और दूसरा जो ग्रुप है वो है बाइफिडोबैक्टीरियम, विच इज अ ऑब्लिगेट एनारोबिक. इसका मतलब है कि दे कैन नॉट सर्वाइव इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. ये सारे मिल्क एंड मिल्क प्रोडक्ट्स में होता है ज्यादातर. एंड दिस बाइफिडोबैक्टीरियम इज प्रेजेंट इन द कोलन ऑफ एन एनिमल ह्यूमन बॉडी. इसके बहुत सारे हेल्थ इफेक्ट्स है, हम बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे. दे एनहांस द एपिथेलियल बैरियर. एपिथेलियल बैरियर को एनहांस करने का काम प्रोबायोटिक्स करते हैं. दे इंक्रीज एडेजन टू इंटेस्टिनल म्यूकोसा. दे इनहिबिट पैथोजन एडेजन. बाहर के पैथोजन्स को आने ही नहीं देते हैं ये दोनों अच्छे ऑर्गेनिजम्स. Then they competitive exclusion of pathogenic microorganisms. They produce antimicrobial substances. बहुत सारे ऐसे substances हैं जो ये produce करते हैं और हमारी body को healthy बनाए रखते हैं. And then they also modulate in the helps in the modulation of immune system. Now, apart from this, they are very important for synthesis of vitamin in our body. हम vitamin B12 के बारे में सुनते हैं, vitamin K और सब के बारे में. Now, if these microorganisms are there inside our body, they automatically prepare vitamin B12 inside our body. ज़्यादातर ऐसा बोला जाता है कि vitamin B12 के लिए आप नॉन वेजिटेरियन के सोर्सेज को लेने की हमें ज़रूरत नहीं, क्योंकि vitamin B12 ऑटोमेटिकली ये सारे प्रोबायोटिक ऑर्गेनिज्म से हमारे बॉडी में बनता है. देन इसके बाद में हम देखेंगे कि बहुत सारी इसमें एंटी पैथोजेनिक एक्टिविटी होती रहती है. एंटी पैथोजेनिक एक्टिविटी में सबसे पहले तो ये शॉर्ट चेन फैटी एसिड बनाता है. शॉर्ट चेन फैटी एसिड में इट प्रिपेयर्स एसिटिक एसिड, प्रोपियोनिक एसिड, ब्यूटरिक एसिड. और ये शॉर्ट चेन फैटी एसिड जो रहते हैं, दे सबसे पहले तो ये हमारे पीएच को जो है वो लो मेंटेन करते हैं. और फिर उसके बाद में विच इज, और ये कोलोनिक ल्यूमेन का पीएच रेगुलेट करना एक तरह से हमें बहुत सारी बीमारियों से बचाता है। दूसरा है कि इट प्रोवाइड्स एन एनर्जी सोर्स ऑफ फॉर माइक्रोबियल ग्रोथ, ये खुद ही माइक्रोब के लिए ये एनर्जी काम में आती है, और 10% एनर्जी हमारी लिवर भी इसको यूटिलाइज करता है। फिर इसके बाद में है कि एक तो वो जीआई का ल्यूमिनल पीएच काम करता है, जिससे पैथोजन की ग्रोथ रुक जाती है, एनहांस मिनरल एब्जॉर्प्शन, प्रमोट्स बाइल एसिड एक्सक्रीशन, और इसके साथ में इट इनिशियल्स सिग्नल ट्रांसडक्शन पाथवेज पेरिफेरल टिश्यूज में चालू करता है। और फिर एंटी पैथोजेनिक एक्टिविटी में ये बैक्टीरियोसिन्स बनाता है, इथेनॉल बनाता है, ऑर्गेनिक एसिड्स बनाता है, डायएसिटिल बनाता है, एसिटल्डिहाइड, हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड, ये किसी ना किसी तरह से हमारे शरीर को रोगों से सुरक्षा प्रदान करता है। और अब इसके बाद मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगी प्रीबायोटिक्स के बारे में। देखिए, प्रोबायोटिक में हमने देखा कि वो लाइव माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स रहते हैं। इन लाइव माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स को यदि सिर्फ हमने दही खाया या दूध से बने हुए फर्मेंटेड फूड्स कुछ चीज खाए, तो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म तो हमारे शरीर में गए, मगर इन माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स को यदि हमने अच्छे से बढ़ने दिया, उसकी ग्रोथ होने दी, तो उससे क्या होगा कि ये जो प्रीबायोटिक्स है, ये हमारे बॉडी के में जो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स है, अच्छे माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स है, इनको बढ़ने में, बढ़ावा देने में मदद करता है। So prebiotics are mostly fibers that are non-digestible food ingredients. ये डाइजेस्ट नहीं हो पाते हैं. Since they are not digested, they are carried towards colon, जहाँ पे ये माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म से ब्रेक डाउन होके फर्मेंट किए जाते हैं, and beneficially affect the host cell by selectively stimulating the growth and or activity of some of the genera of microorganism in the colon. इसमें जो है सबसे अच्छा जो भी रहेगा प्रीबायोटिक, एक तो it should be resistant to action of acid in the stomach, bile salt and hydrolyzing enzyme. It should not be absorbed in the upper gastrointestinal tract, और ये आसानी से फर्मेंट होना चाहिए माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म से। इसमें 4 मेन चीजें हैं: डाइटरी फाइबर, रेजिस्टेंट स्टार्च, ओलिगोसेक्राइड और गम्स, जो प्रीबायोटिक माने जाते हैं, क्योंकि ये हमारे स्टमक में, स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन में डाइजेस्ट नहीं होते हैं और लार्ज इंटेस्टाइन की तरफ इसे ले जाया जाता है। अभी रेजिस्टेंट स्टार्च जो है, ये ऐसा हम जानते हैं, स्टार्च जो है वो अमाइलेज और अमाइलोपेक्टिन का बना होता है, जिसमें ज्यादा अमाइलोज होता है। इट इज नॉट डाइजेस्टेड इन द स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन एंड इट इज टेकन टुवर्ड्स द कोलन, जहाँ पे ये माइक्रोबियल फर्मेंटेशन होता है, और उसके एंड प्रोडक्ट बनते हैं हाइड्रोजन, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, मीथेन एंड शॉर्ट चेन फैटी एसिड्स। इसके बाद ओलिगोसेक्राइड। ओलिगोसेक्राइड का मतलब वो कार्बोहाइड्रेट जिसमें 3 से 10 मोनोसेक्राइड के यूनिट्स रहते हैं। ये भी हमारे स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन में डाइजेस्ट नहीं हो पाते हैं और ये चले जाते हैं कोलन में, और स्पेशली ये बाइफिडोबैक्टीरिया स्पीसीज को बहुत अच्छे से फर्मेंट करते हैं। फिर है डाइटरी फाइबर के बारे में सबने सुना है, जिसमें सेल्यूलोज, हेमिसेल्यूलोज, पेक्टिन, पॉलीसेक्राइड, लिग्निन सारे आते हैं, जिसमें 2 तरह के डाइटरी फाइबर होते हैं, वाटर सॉल्युबल और वाटर इनसॉल्युबल। सो इनसॉल्युबल में सेल्यूलोज, हेमिसेल्यूलोज, जितने भी ग्रेन्स है या ये इसमें सब आते हैं, और वाटर सॉल्युबल में जैसे पेक्टिन, गम्स, गोंद वगैरह जो हम जिसको बोलते हैं वो आते हैं। फ्रूट्स जिसमें सबसे ज्यादा मात्रा में पेक्टिन होता है, ये डाइटरी फाइबर है जो हमारे बॉडी में, इंटेस्टाइन में, स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन में डाइजेस्ट नहीं हो पाते हैं, और ये उनका फूड बनते हैं आगे जाके। अब एक टर्म और आता है सिनबायोटिक्स। सिनबायोटिक्स का मतलब होता है प्रीबायोटिक और प्रोबायोटिक का ऐसा कॉम्बिनेशन जो प्रोबायोटिक को सबसे ज्यादा बढ़ने में मदद करता है। सो कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ प्रोबायोटिक एंड प्रीबायोटिक डिजाइन टू इम्प्रूव द सर्वाइवल ऑफ इंजेस्टेड माइक्रो, जो भी माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म है उसकी सबसे ज्यादा ग्रोथ होनी, तो ये है, इसको हम सिनबायोटिक्स कहते हैं। ये मैं एक टेबल आपको दिखा रही हूँ जिसमें प्रीबायोटिक और प्रोबायोटिक कॉम्बिनेशन दिया है कि कौन सा प्रीबायोटिक कौन से प्रोबायोटिक का सबसे ज्यादा डेवलपमेंट कर सकते, सबसे ज्यादा ग्रोथ करता है, इसको मदद करता है। जैसे फ्रूटो ओलिगोसेक्राइड यदि हम ज्यादा खाते हैं तो ये बाइफिडोबैक्टीरिया को सबसे ज्यादा उसकी ग्रोथ होने में मदद होती है। ऐसे ये सारे प्रीबायोटिक्स दिए हुए हैं। एक सबसे आखिर में आपको बताना चाहूंगी पोस्ट बायोटिक के बारे में। यदि हमने लाइव माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म लिया तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, बट यदि मैंने जो शुरू में कहा फर्मेंटेड फूड, आपने इडली, डोसा, ढोकला ऐसी चीजें खाए, तो वो जिसमें आता है दैट इज नोन एज पोस्ट बायोटिक्स। पोस्ट बायोटिक्स का मतलब ऐसा होता है कि देर इज एब्सेंस ऑफ वायबल ऑर्गेनिज्म जिंदा नहीं है, बट मे हैव सिमिलर इफेक्ट्स ऑन सिग्नलिंग पाथवेज एंड बैरियर फंक्शन। जैसा एक लाइव माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म करता है, वैसा ही उसके वो जब वायबल नहीं रहता है उसके बाद में भी उसके माइक्रो जो ऑर्गेनेल्स है वो एक बायोटिक्स के जैसा काम करते हैं। So these bacterial products are broadly categorized as postbiotics and can be defined as non-viable bacterial products or metabolic byproducts from probiotic microorganisms that have biological activity in the host. इसमें आता है बैक्टीरिया, जितना भी बैक्टीरिया चीजें बनाता है, बैक्टीरियोसिन्स, ऑर्गेनिक एसिड्स, इथेनॉल, डाइएसिटिल अल्डिहाइड्स, हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड, ये किसी ना किसी तरह से पोस्टबायोटिक करके हमारे शरीर में जैसा एक लाइव माइक्रोऑर्गेनिज्म काम करता है वैसा ही पोस्टबायोटिक्स भी काम करता है। एंड बट इट इज ऑल्सो फाउंड दैट सर्टन हीट किल्ड प्रोबायोटिक्स, यानी दही के बदले यदि आपने कढ़ी बना के खाई तो ये उतना ही आपको बेनिफिट्स देगा जितना दही के microorganisms आपको दे रहे हैं। To also retain certain important bacterial structure that may exert biological activity in the host. अभी तो ऐसा कुछ स्टडीज है जिसमें बताया जा रहा है कि जो एंटीबायोटिक एसोसिएटेड डायरिया है उसके लिए भी ये पोस्टबायोटिक्स बहुत काम में आ सकते हैं। So with this I finish my lecture, and the take home is beneficial intestinal bacteria have numerous and important functions. Therefore, modification of the intestinal microbiota in order to achieve, restore and maintain favorable balance in the ecosystem and the activity of microorganisms present in the gastrointestinal tract is necessary for the improved health conditions of the host. ये मैंने अभी आपको जितना दिया है ये सारा मेरा एक कोर्स शुरू है स्वयं प्लेटफॉर्म में, फंक्शनल फूड्स एंड न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल्स, जिसके बारे में मैंने इसमें डिस्कस किया है डिटेल में। और इसको यदि आप ज्वाइन करना चाहते हैं तो इसकी लास्ट डेट है 14 अक्टूबर। 14 अक्टूबर को ये इसमें एनरोलमेंट खत्म हो जाएगा। ये आप कोर्स यदि ज्वाइन करते हैं तो फंक्शनल फूड्स एंड न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल से रिलेटेड जितनी इंफॉर्मेशन आप चाहते हैं वो इसमें मिल सकती है। फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है ये कोर्स। यदि आपको बाद में, ये देखिए ये मेरी पूरे टीम के मेंबर्स हैं, ये जुलाई में स्टार्ट हुआ है, 14 अक्टूबर तक इसमें आप एनरोल कर सकते हैं। आप सिर्फ swayam.gov.in में यदि जाएंगे और उसमें आप फंक्शनल फूड्स एंड न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल डालेंगे, इसमें देखिए 2116 लोग ने आज तक ज्वाइन किया है। ये ज्वाइन में जाके आप ये कोर्स को ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं और इस कोर्स में न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल से, फंक्शनल फूड्स एंड न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल से रिलेटेड सारी इंफॉर्मेशन आपको मिल सकती है। और यदि आप चाहते हैं तो मैं वो स्क्रीन शेयर करके मैं अपना कोर्स भी आपको दिखा सकती हूँ। सो थैंक यू वंस अगेन शक्ति ग्रुप फॉर गिविंग मी दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी and giving me this opportunity to give a presentation of probiotic foods. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I can answer the questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very nice talk about biotics, probiotics, prebiotics, and symbiotics. These are the terms we should always know about the microbiota of our body, what is there in our system, and what is harmful for us, and what is what are helpful for us. Thank you so much. And ma'am, आपका जो course है, we would definitely like to have some light on it. We can, आपने जो share किया उससे हम लोग जरूर कोशिश करेंगे देखने की. Now, without any further delay, we would like to call Dr. Sumita Jain. She is our 5th speaker, and she would be talking on traditional meal patterns. And she's professor and head department of Swasthya and Yoga, Government Ayurveda College, Nagpur. And she is an MD in Ayurveda and more than 20 years of experience in clinical Ayurveda, especially in Ayurvedic dietetics and preventive medicine in Ayurveda. She is executive member of Nutrition Society of India, Nagpur chapter, and her mission is to promote Ayurveda dietetics and principles in public health. So without any delay, I would like to call Dr. Sumita Jain here. Ma'am, up to you.
Thank you, Iram, and thank you, Team Shakti, for organizing such a nice session on the occasion of Gandhi Jayanti. and we will discuss today the Indian traditional science of medicine with dietetics to all of you. I would like to share my screen.
Yes, madam, I already make you co-host. You can share.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. I think slides are visible now.
Not yet.
No, no, not yet. Not
No.
yet.
Okay. Okay.
Amita?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But just wait for a few seconds only.
It's okay, ma'am.
Okay. I will start within few seconds if the slides are not visible.
Ma'am, you share your screen, then you
Yes.
click on your PPT.
Okay.
First you share your screen, then you click on your PPT.
Share.
मैडम शेयर स्क्रीन में जाइए, शेयर स्क्रीन को पहले क्लिक कीजिए।
शेयर स्क्रीन में किया मैडम मैंने, डॉक्यूमेंट में किया।
हाँ, नहीं डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं, पहले से आप ओपन करके रख दीजिए पीपीटी अपना।
हाँ, कर दिया मैडम।
शेयर स्क्रीन में जाइए।
ओके।
हाँ, आ गया मैडम।
यस मैम।
आप मोबाइल क्या? मोबाइल
नहीं, मैंने अभी मोबाइल से ट्राई किया, वो लैपटॉप से नहीं हुआ, तो इसलिए मैं मोबाइल से स्टार्ट किया।
अच्छा।
ओके। Our topic is today is traditional meal patterns, treasure of health. हम इसमें देखेंगे India is known for its unity in diversity. I will be going to show you Indian culinary map and Ayurvedic principles of feeding. साथ में मुझे एडमिट भी करना पड़ रहा है
मैडम। एक्चुअली ना ये आप इससे करेंगे शेयर स्क्रीन से तो अच्छा आएगा, क्योंकि वो हिल रही है स्क्रीन बहुत।
यस मैडम, यस, पर वो हो नहीं रहा है।
करेंगे तो हो जाएगा, जल्दी हो गया तो वो आपको दिखेगा तुरंत। कंप्यूटर में ओपन है ना, इसको स्मॉल कीजिए, प्रेजेंटेशन को स्मॉल कर दीजिए और फिर शेयर स्क्रीन में जाएंगे तो आपको वो दिखेगा।
यस मैम।
आप लैपटॉप से ही ट्राई कीजिए मैडम।
लैपटॉप से ही ट्राई कीजिए, ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा।
मैम डॉक्यूमेंट अपना पहले ओपन कर लीजिए आप, फिर शेयर स्क्रीन करिएगा, उसमें ऑप्शंस आएंगे, फिर आप क्लिक करिएगा विंडो या वो आपका शेयर हो जाएगा वो।
तब तक मैम मैं आपको एक डॉक्यूमेंट शेयर करती हूँ।
आप
Okay.
मुझे देते क्या, मुझे देते, मैं यहाँ से शेयर कर देती हूँ। ये तो उनको दे दीजिए, शक्ति ग्रुप को दे दीजिए।
ठीक है मैम, नाउ वी विल अदरवाइज वी विल वेस्ट आवर टाइम। ओके, आई विल ट्राई बाय दिस ओनली। अब नहीं होगा। अब नहीं।
a lot.
यस।
हाँ, बहुत शेक हो रहा है वो।
हाँ, so let's try start. We have different types of food culture due to our geographical factors, agroclimatic conditions, water resources, land properties. We can't change these things, but social and cultural factors, religion, social status, food fads, and fallacies. Along with these, nowadays we are facing technology factors, storage and transport facilities, processing capacities, commercial factors, supply and demand, pricing, advertising. Now this is our Indian culinary map of northeast side. Previous speakers have discussed about very much recipes, but I am going to change some things. जैसे उत्तराखंड में हमने देखा है कि आलू के गुट्टे, खीर, और नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जनरली स्टेपल फूड उनका राइस होता है, चाइनीज कजीन का उन पे इम्पैक्ट होता है, और मुगली फूड का भी इस पे इम्पैक्ट देखा गया है। साथ में अभी हम अगर नॉर्थ वेस्ट में जाएंगे तो कश्मीर, हिमाचल प्रदेश, इसमें आपको अलग अलग टाइप के दाल, पल्सेस, इसका यूज मिलेगा। साथ में सम नॉन वेज रेसिपीज, खिचड़ी, सभी इसमें देखेंगे तो राइस कॉमनली मिलता है, और ग्रेन्स के अंदर हम चेंज करते हैं, जैसे मक्के की रोटी है, बाजरा है, जवार है, व्हीट है, ऐसे डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ ग्रेन्स को यूज किया जाता है डिपेंडिंग अपॉन देयर जोग्राफिकल कंडीशंस। साउथ का देखेंगे तो साउथ में अगेन देयर इज स्टेपल फूड ऑफ राइस और फिश, क्योंकि ये कोस्टल एरिया है, इसके अंदर आपको सी फूड्स का भी इम्पैक्ट दिखेगा। और साउथ ईस्ट जोन में इसमें है फिर से आपको सी फूड विथ राइस एंड सम पल्सेस, इनका यूज है। साथ में कोकोनट, इट इज ऑलवेज यूज्ड इन दैट। अब ये देखेंगे कि अगर राइस स्टेपल फूड है तो इसके वेराइटी ऑफ रेसिपीज इंडिया में खाए जाते हैं। लाइक सम पीपल ईट मूरी, चना पोहा इन महाराष्ट्र, लाही, इडली, डोसा, वेराइटी ऑफ पुलाव, राइस, दीज आर यूज्ड इन ऑल ओवर इंडिया। तो इसमें देखेंगे आप अलग टाइप के स्पाइसेस यूज किए जाते हैं अकॉर्डिंग टू द रीजन, और साथ में हर एक का जो टेस्ट होता है वो सेम नहीं होता है। तो वो जो टेस्ट जो सेम नहीं होता है वो डिफर करता है उनके प्रकृति के हिसाब से, क्योंकि आयुर्वेद में प्रकृति को ज्यादा फोकस किया गया है। डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द प्रकृति, पीपल लव टू ईट स्वीट टाइप ऑफ राइस, स्पाइसी टाइप ऑफ राइस, सम कुक्ड फ्लेवर ऑफ राइसेस। देखिए अब पूरी दुनिया में भी हम जाएंगे, इवन इन ऑल द पार्ट्स ऑफ वर्ल्ड the things are same to eat whether they are vegetarian or non-vegetarian, क्योंकि ये आयुर्वेद का जो प्रिंसिपल है ये 4 चीजों में इसका इम्पैक्ट होता है। किस तरीके से खाने की चीजों को 4 तरीके से डिवाइड किया गया है, उसमें है चुष्यम, चर्व्यम, लेह्यम, पेयम। चुष्यम मतलब जिसको चूस के खाना होता है, चर्व्यम मतलब जिसको चबा के खाते हैं, लेह्यम जिसको चटनी जैसा खाते हैं, और पेयम मतलब लिक्विड इंटेक जो होता है। तो हम सबसे पहले देखेंगे चुष्य। चुष्य में क्या आता है, जैसे हम राइपन मैंगो होता है उसको हम चूस के खाते हैं। जिंजर लेमन पेस्ट खाने में जो चटनी से भी पतला होता है, जिसको हम टेस्ट चूस के खा सकते हैं। ये सब चीजें हमारी सिक्रीशंस को बढ़ाता है। और कुछ स्वीट्स रहते हैं वो भी हम चूस के खा सकते हैं। तो ये चीज को चुष्य कैटेगरी में लिया गया है। अगर हम पूरे इंडिया के कोई भी कॉर्नर में जाके जो भी रेसिपीज देखेंगे, वो अगर हम देख रहे हैं तो ये 4 कैटेगरीज में बैठ जाते हैं। वो होते हैं कि अभी हमने चुष्यम देखा, ये है लेह्यम। लेह्यम मतलब जिसको जो चटनी होती है, जैसे हम इडली के साथ में कोई नमूने की चटनी लेते हैं। ऑल ओवर द इंडिया वी हैव डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ चटनी। चटनी ऑफ कोकोनट, चटनी ऑफ चना दाल, चटनी ऑफ मूंग दाल, some vegetable chutney, some curry leaves chutney. Variety of chutneys are used in all over the India. Next part है चर्व्य। चर्व्य जो है, चर्व्य means whatever we can chew, like chapati, puran-poli, dal bati, some momos, appe. These types of things are inculcated in charvya type of food category. And even sweets are also in charvya type of food category. So, and the last one is payam. Payams mean liquid intake. The things, fluid, beverages, hot beverages. All over the India, there are many types of beverages are used to drink while taking meals also. In Maharashtra, kadhi is very famous. और आम का पन्ना है, नींबू पानी है, कांजी है, रसम है। ऑल ओवर द इंडिया अलग अलग टाइप के छाछ, बटर मिल्क, लस्सी, these type of liquids, fluids are taken along with the meals. They increase our appetite and they maintain some pH in our stomach. Even globally, soups, people used to take soup also. But what Ayurveda says that Ayurveda doesn't allow anything cold or raw things to eat during meals. So all these preparations is a skillful job. जब पुराने जमाने में जब जॉइंट फैमिलीज होती थी तो पूरा किचन में एक सेटअप होता था। ज्यादा देर तक लेडीज किचन में रुकती थी क्योंकि कोई भी चीज बनाने के लिए ज्यादा समय लगता था। और दैट इज वो थिंग है कि जो हमारे डाइजेशन में हेल्प करती है। जो चीज जल्दी कुक होती है वो जल्दी अपना डाइजेस्ट हो जाती है। और दीज आर नॉट कॉम्प्लेक्स कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स विच गेट कुक्ड फास्ट। तो ये सब जो ग्लोबल कल्चर है, ड्यू टू मार्केटिंग एंड ऑल दिस थिंग, प्रोसेस्ड फूड्स वी कैन गेट ऑल ओवर द इंडिया, बट they digest very fast or they pass in the gut very fast. So we don't think them as nutritious things. The things which take too much time to cook, they are good for health. अब देखिए, ये एक प्रिंसिपल है आयुर्वेद का। ये सेकंड प्रिंसिपल मैं यहाँ बताना चाहूंगी, अष्टौ आहार विधि विशेषायतन। इसमें है प्रकृति, करण, संयोग, राशि, देश, काल, उपयोग, संस्था, उपयोक्ता। दिस इज इन संस्कृत, बट वी कैन इजीली अंडरस्टैंड दीज थिंग्स। जैसे प्रकृति मीन्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, हर एक की जो प्रकृति होती है उसके हिसाब से उसका डाइट होता है, उसे हम न्यूट्रीजिनोमिक्स कहते हैं, जो इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक अप्रोच ऑफ डाइटेटिक्स उसमें आता है। करंट मीन्स प्रोसेसिंग, डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ स्पाइसेस आर यूज्ड टू कुक डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ फूड। और राइस, वेराइटी ऑफ राइस आपने देखा है, वो अलग अलग टाइप से कुक करने से अलग अलग टाइप का राइस का हमको रेसिपीज मिलती है। कॉम्बिनेशंस, वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड दीज थिंग्स। क्वांटिटी, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय क्वांटिटी? जैसा खाना है तो बहुत सारा नहीं खाना है, अपने पेट के 4 हिस्से बोले गए आयुर्वेद में। जनरली वी टुक 550 ग्राम ऑफ मील, 400 to 550 ग्राम ऑफ मील्स at one time, which is our major meal. In that case, we have to take all types of 4 types of foods, that is charvyam, chushyam, peyam, lehyam. We have to balance all the things in these 550 grams, and still we have to keep some area, keep left, जो चौथा हिस्सा है पेट का उसको खाली रखना है। तो ये जो प्रिंसिपल अगर हम फॉलो करते हैं तो हमारे डाइजेशन एंड मेटाबॉलिज्म बहुत अच्छे से होता है। तो हम अभी सबसे पहले देखेंगे प्रकृति। मैं आपको बहुत शॉर्ट में समझाऊंगी कि जो कफ प्रकृति पर्सन होते हैं, आप एग्जाम्पल ले सकते हो। आप अगर देखोगे महेंद्र सिंह धोनी, वाजपेयी जी, they are ideal kaf prakriti people. Pitta prakriti people, they are somewhat aggressive. You can see Virat Kohli and Uddhav Thackeray, Raj Thackeray, and Vat prakriti, they are very chanchal. They don't keep their statements stable. तो ये आप ध्यान रख सकते हो कि इस तरीके से मेजरली आप प्रकृति को फाइंड आउट कर सकते हो। बहुत सारे साइट्स पे आप प्रकृति एनालाइज करने को मिल सकती है आजकल, और यही चीज सात्विक, राजसिक, तामसिक को रिफ्लेक्ट करती है मेंटल हेल्थ के लिए। तो सात्विक इज व्हाट, दैट इज, आप देखते हो योगा मेडिटेशन कर रहा है वो सात्विक है। तामसिक इज जो ड्राउजी है और रेस्टिंग, हमेशा थका हुआ बैठा रहता है। और तामसिक इज ही इज वेरी एग्रेसिव और थोड़ा जल्दी जल्दी चिढ़ जाते हैं ये लोग। तो उस तरीके से खाना हमको चेंज करना होता है। अगर कोई राजसिक है तो हम उसको तामसिक फूड और सात्विक फूड पे चेंज करेंगे। कोई तामसिक फूड ले रहा है तो उसको, उसकी प्रकृति वैसी है तो हम उस तरीके से उनको एडवाइस करते हैं। दिस इज आयुर्वेदिक क्लॉक। ये बहुत सारे इसमें आयुर्वेदिक डॉक्टर्स ही ज्वाइंड है, पर स्टिल आई विल एक्सप्लेन। आयुर्वेदिक क्लॉक में होता है कि मॉर्निंग 6 to 10 AM is for कफ, 10 to 2 PM is for पित्त, and 2 to 6 PM is for वात। तो इससे जो होता है कि इसमें प्रीडोमिनेंस होता है इन चीजों का। अगर कफ का प्रीडोमिनेंस है 10 बजे तक, तो वी विल नॉट टेक टू मच क्वांटिटी ऑफ फूड इन दिस टाइम, बिकॉज हम कब ले सकते हैं इस टाइम में ज्यादा खाना? अगर हम मॉर्निंग में जल्दी उठते हैं, ब्राह्म मुहूर्त। इफ वी वेक अप बिफोर 5:30, then only we are able to take major meal in breakfast. Otherwise, the best time to have our lunch is before 12, that is 10 to 12 noon is the best time to have our lunch. अब हम देखते हैं कि लंच टाइम 1 से 2 में होता है, पर 1 से 2 या 12 से 2 का जो टाइम होता है वो हंगर हार्मोन्स बॉडी में अच्छे सिक्रीट हो जाते हैं, जिसमें लेप्टिन, ग्रेलिन है, इंसुलिन है, इनके पीक लेवल होते हैं। तो वो जो पीक लेवल होते हैं उनके पहले, प्रायर टू दैट, आवर फूड शुड बी इन स्टमक। जब हार्मोन सिक्रीट होते हैं उस समय हमारे पेट में खाना नहीं जाना है, तो उसके पहले ही हमारे पेट में खाना चला जाना चाहिए। इसलिए ये इम्पोर्टेंट है कि हमको खाना कब खाना चाहिए। द मेजर मील शुड बी बिफोर 12। ये कफ, पित्त और वात है जो चाइल्डहुड में कफ प्रीडोमिनेंस होता है, इसलिए बच्चे मोस्टली स्वीट्स मांगते हैं। और कफ का टाइम जो होता है मॉर्निंग टाइम में ज्यादा होता है। और सेम थिंग पित्त, अडल्ट, जब हम up to 40-45 years of age, that is pitta predominance in this age. So we have to work hard and we have to eat, we can digest more food also in this period, in this age of life. And Vat is the old age. In old age, it is predominant. So they have certain digestive problems in older age people. This is ईयरली एनुअल साइकिल, ऋतुचर्या। देखिए इसमें आप समझ पाएंगे कि इंडिया में उत्तरायण और दक्षिणायन 6 महीने के ऐसे 2 फेजेस होते हैं। इसमें डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ हमारी डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम होती है। जैसे हम देखेंगे कोविड-19 का पीरियड इंडिया में मार्च से स्टार्ट हुआ था। उस टाइम पे हमारी जो डाइजेस्टिव फायर थी वो आप देखेंगे वो दैट वाज मॉडरेट डाइजेस्टिव कैपेसिटी, and afterward that was Vasant Rutu, and Grishma, that is April May, that was poor digestive capacity. इसमें हमको लिक्विड इंटेक ज्यादा लेना पड़ता है। बाद में है वर्षा, दैट इज रेनी सीजन, जून जुलाई। ये पीरियड में भी हमारी डाइजेस्टिव फायर जो होती है वो पुअर होती है। अब जो पीरियड आया है वो शरद ऋतु का है, जो सितंबर और अक्टूबर है। इसमें डाइजेस्टिव कैपेसिटी मॉडरेट है और हम दिवाली के टाइम जो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ फूड खा रहे हैं वो हम डाइजेस्ट करना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं। एंड नवंबर, दिसंबर, जनवरी, फरवरी हैज एक्सेलेंट डाइजेस्टिव कैपेसिटी एंड which is very beneficial to fight against all types of antigens, whether they are viruses, bacteria, or any toxins. In this period, we can digest all type of antigens, or our body is ready to fight for all these types of antigens, and it is known as healthy period. So we have seen this clock, that is Dincharya and Rutucharya, daily regime and yearly annual regime. This is hypothalamic clock and peripheral clock. When I have studied this thing, so I come to know that this hypothalamic clock, all organs, they work, their maximum peak of secretions are at the time of afternoon, at the time of 12 to 2 p.m. And that's why I'm telling you that we must eat our food before 12. Major meal we have to take before 12, but there are such circumstances and system doesn't allow many times us to take our food in this time. But now the time has to be changed. अब change होना चाहिए, क्योंकि आयुर्वेद को सबको जानना पड़ेगा और आयुर्वेद को सबको मानना पड़ेगा। देखिए ये अभी मैं आपको दिखा रही हूँ, these are हमारी थाली, स्टेट वाइज थाली। पंजाबियंस की थाली होती है वो सबसे रिच थाली होती है, पर हर एक स्टेट में जो फेस्टिवल्स में जो थाली बनाई जाती है या पूजा के टाइम पे जो फूड बनाए जाते हैं उसमें मैक्सिमम वैरायटी ऑफ फूड बनता है। मैं ये नहीं बोलूंगी इतना सब कुछ खाना चाहिए, बट व्हेन देयर इज वैरायटी ऑफ फूड वी हैव टू टेक एवरीथिंग इन लेसर क्वांटिटी सो दैट we can get colorful plate and all the nutrients from these plates. आयुर्वेद कैलोरीज के बारे में नहीं बोलता है, पर आयुर्वेद बोलता है कि all the 6 taste should be in our plate, जो sweet, sour, salty, bitter और spicy, ऐसे सारे 6 astringent 6 टेस्ट हमारी थाली में होना चाहिए, जिससे हमको कोई भी माइक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट्स की डेफिशिएंसी नहीं होती है। अब देखिए, जब आयुर्वेद में बोला गया है कि 2 मेजर मील्स होना चाहिए, जो 2 मेजर मील्स के भरोसे अगर हम रहते हैं और कुछ जगह हमको सुनने को मिलता है कि यू हैव टू टेक फ्रीक्वेंट मील्स। नाउ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल्स। वी हैव टू टेक 2 मेजर मील्स and 1 minor meal, that is snacks. We can take it in the afternoon also, but before 12 noon we have to take our major meal, and in the afternoon we can take our minor meal, that is any beverages, hot beverages prescribed in India in our traditions. Some fruits we can take in afternoon time, and we have to take our lunch, dinner at night, which is major meal. It should be at till 8 p.m. we have to finish our major meal. That will be very good for our health. These are the 6 tastes that Ayurveda says for this. इसमें है sweet, salty, sour, pungent, bitter, astringent. तो sweet में आता है, आपको सभी को पता है, salty ये भी आपको पता है, sour मतलब खट्टा, pungent means जो हमारे मसाले में जो टेस्ट होती है, जैसे कुछ मसालों में जो हमारी टेस्ट होती है वो है पंजेंट टेस्ट होती है, प्याज में भी होती है। बिटर मीन्स कड़वा होता है, और एस्ट्रिंजेंट मीन्स जैसे त्रिफला आप आंवला खाते हो तो वो एस्ट्रिंजेंट होता है। तो सबसे पहले स्वीट खाने के लिए बोला है आयुर्वेद में। व्हाई आयुर्वेद हैज टोल्ड दैट एडवाइस दैट वी हैव टू टेक स्वीट। आप देखेंगे बहुत बार सूखा खाना खाते हैं जो लोग, उनको खाना खाते समय एक रिफ्लेक्स होता है या ठसका लगता है, मतलब लोग बोलते हैं कि हमको निगलने में कोई तकलीफ हुई है। पर अगर पहला बाइट अगर स्वीट का जाता है तो हमारा टाइलिन सिक्रीशन बहुत अच्छा होता है ओरल कैविटी में, और वो हमारा फीडबैक मैकेनिज्म रहता है स्टमक के लिए कि डाइजेशन सारे सिक्रीशंस उसमें सिक्रीट होना शुरू हो जाते हैं. तो दैट्स व्हाई आयुर्वेद हैज मेंशन्ड दैट यू हैव टू टेक स्वीट फर्स्ट. कफ को पेसिफाई करने के लिए बिटर, पंजेंट और एस्ट्रिंजेंट टेस्ट होती है. वात को कम करने के लिए स्वीट, सोर और सॉल्टी होता है, और पित्त को कम करने के लिए पंजेंट, सोर और सॉल्टी टेस्ट होते हैं. अब हम साथ में ये भी देखेंगे कि हाउ मच वाटर वी शुड टेक डेली. वी हैव वेरी मच रिसर्च पेपर्स which tell us that we have to take 2.2 to 3 liters of water. If for exercise, those people who are doing exercise, they have to take 4 to 5 liters of water. But what Ayurveda says that when we see that in 70% of our world is occupied by water, but that is not water, that is sea water, that is some electrolyte water which contains some salts. So we have to take that much quantity of liquids or fluids instead of taking plain water. क्योंकि हमारी बॉडी में कोई भी फ्लूइड न्यूट्रल पीएच का नहीं होता है. हमारी बॉडी में सारे फ्लूइड्स जो होते हैं वो उनका पीएच डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ पीएच होता है, रेंजिंग फ्रॉम acidic to salty. Even Ayurveda focus on fasting. Fasting principle is very important. Nowadays, very much intermittent fasting is very much common in all over the world. But आप देखोगे कि इंटरमिटेंट फास्टिंग में लोग बोलते हैं कि हम ओवरनाइट फास्टिंग कर रहे हैं, ये सब मैं जानती हूँ, पर फिर भी ऐसा है कि जब दिन भर हमको 2 टाइम खाना खाना है, तो हमको बीच में कोई चॉकलेट्स या कोई स्नैक्स या छोटी छोटी चीजें खाना नहीं है. इसमें है कि एक ये स्टडी हुई थी, 23 इयर्स की स्टडी थी टोटल, ये मंकीज पे हुआ था. तो इसमें इन्होंने बताया था कि 2 ग्रुप्स इन्होंने उसको डिफरेंशिएट किए थे. एक ग्रुप को वो स्ट्रक्चर्ड मील्स देते थे जैसा एडवाइस किया गया है, फुल मील, और दूसरे ग्रुप को वो जंगल में थे मंकीज, और उनको रीसस मंकीज को उनको जब उनको भूख लगती थी तब उनको खाना दिया जाता था, और दे हैव टू सर्च फॉर देयर फूड. और दूसरे टाइप के मंकीज को डायरेक्ट फूड दिया गया. तो आफ्टर 23 years you are looking this right side of monkeys, they were fed in jungle by when they are hungry, and that left side of monkeys, they fed very well nutritious food for their whole age. See who is looking old or who is looking young. So we can understand that we have to work hard for taking our complete meals. अब इसमें भी एक चीज है, अगर आपका BMI नॉर्मल है तो आपकी सारी गलतियां माफ. यू कैन ईट, यू हैव डेवलप योर राइट ईटिंग पैटर्न. सो आपने अपने लाइफ में जो भी ईटिंग पैटर्न डेवलप किया है, दैट इज वेरी गुड फॉर यू, बिकॉज यू हैव मेंटेन योर बेसल मेटाबॉलिक बॉडी मास इंडेक्स. सो व्हाट इज टेक होम मैसेज? रिस्पेक्ट योर अग्नि, फॉलो फूड पैटर्न्स. That respect your agni means जब आपको भूख लगती है तब आपको पेट भर के खाना है, वैरायटी ऑफ फूड खाना है, जिससे आपको 6 घंटे तक भूख ना लगे. जब हम दाल बाटी खाते हैं, पूरन पोली खाते हैं, या फिर इस तरीके से जो हमने थाली देखी थी, उस तरीके से जो थाली का खाना खाते हैं, तो हमको 6 से 8 घंटे तक भूख नहीं लगती है. That is our nice, that is our ideal meal. But we don't have such time to prepare all these things. So we have to respect our digestive fire. Calorie calculation and mathematics, body doesn't understand this. क्योंकि अगर इन विट्रो, इन टेस्ट ट्यूब्स में हम स्टडी करते हैं कि 1 ग्राम राइस से हमको, कार्बोहाइड्रेट से हमको 4.5 कैलोरी मिलती है, बट it is not necessary that when that 1 gram carbohydrate we have intake of 1 gram carbohydrate in our body, we will definitely get 4.5 kilocalories. It range from 1.5 calorie to 4.5 calorie. It depends on our metabolism, our exercise pattern, our digestive fire. So body don't understand mathematics. So you have to increase your digestive fire by exercising or by avoiding frequent meals. Even if you eat chocolates, biscuits, small packs, this also considered as one feed. So avoid frequent eatings that will reduce your insulin resistance. And this biological clock is our feeding pattern. If it get disturbed, it decreases and worsen the quality of sleep. It decreases when in shift duty workers, those who are on mobile nights, chit-chatting on mobile. It is associated to an increase incidence of metabolic, endocrine, cardiovascular, and tumor diseases. It results in chronic inflammatory diseases. And finally, it disturbs our circadian cycle, and such circadian misalignment again increases markers of insulin resistance. So we have to follow our biological clock. And thank you for patience listening, and sorry for some time which I in the starting phase I am not able to share the slides. Also, I am thankful to Dr. Pratima Shastri ma'am, because she has also given some contribution in this session. If anyone has to ask any question, they can ask a question. I thank you, the Shakti team, for such wonderful organization and privileged me to share my thoughts in this session.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Sumita. आपने आयुर्वेद के ऊपर इतना अच्छा हमको समझाया. बहुत सारे कॉन्सेप्ट्स हमारे क्लियर हुए. ट्रेडिशनल वैल्यूज को हम जानते नहीं थे, उनके बारे में हमें पता लगा. Now, thanks a lot, ma'am. Now I would like to call Dr. Sudhaji Tiwari, National President Shakti, for giving us the concluding remarks on our talks on this session. Ma'am, Sudha ma'am, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Ramji. Sabhi ko namaskar. And I'm really happy that such a wonderful talk series, or you can say that such a wonderful arrangement and of the talks, which is very important for all of us, especially women, has been arranged by Shakti team. And I congratulate the team for having this wonderful webinar. I also say thank you to Shinija madam, Sharika madam, then Gayatri ma'am, Rekha ji, and Sumita ji for wonderful presentations. Actually, I want to say something about this mother kitchen which we are involved in. Shakti is trying to get involved in this particular very good project, which is the need of the hour today. As we see that this is the great, you can say that impact of food on our life is, we can see that nowadays the younger generation is very much inclined towards the fast food taking, and you can say that there is a lack of the nutritionist value and the nutrition content, which is very important for their proper growth. And this has resulted, as I can cite one example also, because we tested some 150 school-going girls and for anemia, and we were shocked to find out that only 5 of them were actually the perfect level of having HB level, and all others were anemic, and they all belong to the very good families, which were coming from all the prosperous families. So and also we can see that this fast food has got a very bad impact on the growth. You can say that what is the secondary growth also, secondary growth hormones also, it has got a very bad impact, especially the girls. So we are very much concerned on this particular issue. And that's why this particular project, Mother Kitchen, as we all know that India is a very diverse country, and we contain all the other states has got a different types of recipes, different type of food habits, and which depends upon the not only our traditional system of taking in the food, but also it depends upon the climate of that particular state and the and overall condition of the climate. So it is also linked with the nature. So we are going to have all these state-wise diversity of the food, and these traditional foods, they are just nowadays the younger generation, they try to just say no to these particular food which are traditionally served, and so what we want to do is we want to take up this traditional knowledge, and we want to have the scientific modern concept and scientific modern, you can say that in the language which the younger generation can understand. We want to make them understand that this is also very important, that this traditional knowledge and traditional food system and traditional recipes are not only nutritious, but they are also helpful for the proper growth, for depending upon the climate of that particular state also. So therefore, it is very important that these traditional knowledge should be revived, and it should be encouraged, and it should be brought forth before the younger generation. And that is why Shakti is doing. And we are collecting the recipes of all the states, and we are just trying to prove the traditional values of all the food contents which are there inside these particular recipes. And then we also want to formulate the booklet forms of all these knowledge, and then we want to distribute it amongst the girls, amongst the even the women which are there, and we want to give the training of this particular recipes to different women which we are involved into it. And then this is the what, and as we all know that IIFTPT is also involved in it, so we will try to take the help of their knowledge and their expertise and their whatever system they have in their institute. And also the AI system is also attached with it. So with the help of that, we will try to spread of this knowledge to who can corner of this country. And so that is the motto behind this Mother Kitchen concept. And I'm really very happy that this is the first webinar we were having, and it is very wonderful and it is very useful. And I am hoping that all those who are attached and who have joined us today, they will be helpful due to this particular lectures which are given today. And thank you very much once again to all. And over to Iramji.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us about the project Mother's Kitchen. Now, it's time to say I would like to propose on behalf of the organizing team of Shakti. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. My heart fills with a lot of gratitude and respect for our distinguished guest speakers for not only sparing their invaluable time for us to grace the occasion, but also enlightening us with their commendable talks on the subject, traditional food and the relevance. So thank you all for clearing our concepts. And I'm also running short of words to say thanks for all of the other guests who joined the talk and helped making it a success. We hope that everyone present here must have been enriched by the knowledge imparted to us in the talk. And my special thanks goes to the entire Shakti team for organizing this webinar, the IIFPT team, the WFP team. And no event can be a success without its team members. So it was a dedication and an enthusiasm of the team that made this a success. So with these remarks, I announce the closing of this event, the webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
One minute, Ramji, we need to take a picture. Can you please ask everyone to put on their camera?
Everyone, can you please put on your camera? So we will take a picture. Click for all the event. Everyone who all are present here. Is it okay, ma'am?
Please start a video. Everyone, please start your video. अरे मेरा वीडियो क्यों नहीं आ रहा?
Everyone, please start your cameras. आ रहा है मैम आपका?
ओके ओके, मैं दोनों में हूँ. हाँ हाँ. सबको ही ऑन कीजिए प्लीज. ज्यादा से ज्यादा ऑफ है. एज नंबर 3 में तो सब ऑफ है. सबको ही ऑन कीजिए आपका कैमरा. हाँ प्लीज. वैशाली, ममता जी, मल्लिका जी, आप प्लीज ऑन कीजिए. सबको ही ऑन कीजिए. सेकेंड पेज में तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा ऑफ है. आप प्लीज ऑन कीजिए. आपका वीडियो कैमरा ऑन कीजिए. बहुत कोई है जो वीडियो कैमरा ऑन नहीं किया अभी तक. प्लीज ऑन कीजिए. फोटो हम लोग का जरूरी है बहुत. प्लीज आपका वीडियो कैमरा ऑन कीजिए. सुनीता वर्मा जी, वीडियो कैमरा ऑन कीजिए. पद्मावती जी ऑन कीजिए. वीडियो ऑन कीजिए प्लीज.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you. Taken picture.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Sudha ji, can I end the meeting?
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
sure.
ma'am.
Okay. Bye bye.
Sure,
Bye
sure.
everybody.
Ma'am.